Hey folks, D-Man's Kitchen once again. Today we're going to make a chicken alfredo spinach lasagna. And here's all the things that you need. Going from left to right, you need a 30-ounce container of ricotta cheese, 10 ounces of chopped frozen spinach, 16 ounces of large curd cottage cheese, 2 eggs, a small container of diced pimentos, 6 cups of whatever kind of Italian cheese you like. This time I'm using a pizza blend, which is like Romano and provolone, mozzarella, Parmesan, and 3 jars of whatever kind of Alfredo sauce you like, and some olive oil and some Parmesan cheese grated, some white meat chicken, just some chicken strips, and a large mixing bowl, some olive oil, and then some kind of spice blend to season the chicken with. I'm using Cavender's all-purpose Greek seasoning. And you're going to need some aluminum foil, something to cut the chicken with, a large baking dish, and a saute pan. Alright, those are the ingredients, and the next thing we're going to do is cut up the chicken. So cut up your chicken into just chunks like that, and get your saute pan reasonably hot. Add some olive oil into that. And I'm using a non-stick pan. And so once your pan and your oil get, hot, you don't want it, scalding, because then your chicken's going to burn before it cooks through. So just get it, reasonably hot. I usually drop a piece in there to see if it's hot enough yet, and it's not hot yet, so we're almost there. Okay, our oil is plenty hot now, so let's go ahead and add the rest of this. You're going to want to keep this chicken moving constantly. And use your Cavender's. And season up that chicken. If you have some just regular Italian seasoning, like oregano, basil, that kind of stuff, you can sprinkle a little bit of that in there too if you want. But you don't need to add any salt or pepper to this because or garlic or anything like that, because the Cavender's already has all that in it. Cavender's is a great spice blend. It's great on pretty much every meat and vegetable. For grilling, sauteing, it's a fantastic seasoning. Alright, so just, you want to get this chicken cooked all the way through. Don't overcook it, but make sure it is cooked all the way through. So once that's done, we'll come back and go to the next step. Stand by. While that chicken's finishing, I'm going to take this frozen chopped spinach and put it in the mixing bowl that I'm going to use to mix up the cheese mixture. And I'm going to put this in the microwave for about, maybe 3 or 4 minutes to thaw it out. And then we'll be ready to mix that. Alright, the chicken is cooked all the way through. Turn the pan off. Now we're going to come over here and make the cheese mixture. So I've heated that and thawed that spinach. You just kind of want to break it up. You don't need to drain it, because when you're making lasagna, you want liquid, so you don't need to drain that spinach. Just kind of break it up so it's not all clumped together. Alright, so we are going to add first our ricotta cheese, the whole thing, and the whole thing of cottage cheese. Need to get my stir thing over here. You don't want to add your eggs on top of that hot spinach, because the spinach will cook the egg and your egg will scramble. So you don't want to do that. So you want to add that cold cheese in, and that hot spinach helps the cold cheese to mix up smooth. So get that in there, and that cools the spinach down. So that now we can add these eggs, 2 of them. Just kind of beat them up and sort of work those in a little bit there. Okay. Now, next thing we're going to do is add this thing of diced pimentos. Again, you don't have to drain them. We're not adding any garlic or anything to this, because the Cavenders that we seasoned the chicken with has garlic in it, as does the alfredo sauce. Now you can make homemade alfredo sauce if you want to, but I find it's easier to just use the canned, and it's great. Homemade alfredo sauce tends to be a little bit greasy for this recipe, I would think. And this is about a half a can of grated Parmesan cheese that I'm putting in there. If you want to be technical about it, it's about 4 or 5 ounces of Parmesan cheese. Alright, now for this, we're going to use about, this is 6 cups of cheese, and we're going to use about that much, which looks like, about, I don't know, 1.5 cups maybe, something like that. And just work that in. Make sure all that Parmesan cheese is broken up and you don't have any of those big clumps in there. Alright, so there's the cheese and spinach mixture. That's ready. So the next thing you do is get your box of pasta, and I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but I'm actually using oven ready lasagna noodles. So in other words, you don't have to boil them. and however many is in the box, break them up into equal parts. So there was 16 noodles in this thing. So wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, no, 15. I'm sorry. So I broke it up into 5, 10, 15, and so first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put the drippings and stuff from the chicken, put that in the bottom of the pan, because that's going to be your bottom layer of moisture. Oops. And then just add a little bit of the chicken to the bottom. You know, it's just kind of giving the noodles something to sit on. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of water. A little bit of water to that. So, alright, now we're going to assemble this. I know that looks a little weird, but just trust me on this. So lay down a layer of noodles, and then cover your noodles and a layer of your cheese mixture. The assembly on this is the same as any other lasagna you make. You know, it's always like whatever meat sauce you're using goes down first, then a layer of noodles, then your cheese mixture, then, you know, in this case we're gonna be adding alfredo sauce on top of the cheese mixture. So it's a little different, but not crazy different. Just make sure your noodles are completely covered with that cheese mixture, because any noodles that aren't covered are gonna get dry and kind of harden up and won't cook right. Alright, so there's that. Now so that's 1 jar of alfredo sauce. Okay. Now, the second layer, we're just going to repeat it. Add some more chicken. Just kind of, you know, distribute it however, you know, so you get, you know, at least a couple pieces of chicken in each piece. And then repeat the process again, except this time I'm going to go the other direction with my noodles. I'm going to go like this. And here is why I always keep an extra box of lasagna noodles on hand for reasons like this. Now this is a different kind of lasagna noodle. It's still oven ready, but it's a different brand. But it's okay. I'm just gonna like sort of fill in the gaps, you know, like that. I know it looks weird, but again, just trust me on this. another layer of cheese mixture. And this is a very thick lasagna. So I mean, you can either feed a whole lot of people in one night, or you can, after you're done with dinner, you can portion this up and freeze it. And the lasagna freezes very, very well in freezer, and it will keep for a long time in the freezer. And then next time you want lasagna, you just grab one out of the freezer and stick it in the microwave. Okay, so there's that. Now we're gonna add the second can of Alfredo sauce. And then we'll just sort of distribute what's left of that chicken on top. There's not too much left. I could have made more chicken for this, honestly, but oh well. It will still be very, very delicious. Okay, there's that. And now, our last layer of pasta, going back in the original direction. Start pushing that down. It's starting to get tall. And the last bit of cheese mixture. Once you get to that top layer, there's not as much of everything left, unless you're real meticulous about it, but I'm not. You know, about making sure that each layer is exactly the same. I don't worry about that kind of thing. I don't use recipes. Everything I cook, I just make it up. And every time I cook it, it's a little bit different. Alright, so and this time around I'm not going to add that whole can. It doesn't need it. So I put about half of that last can of Alfredo. Or jar, rather. Because that's plenty. Okay, and now take your rest of your shredded cheese and distribute that around. If you like cheese, this is the lasagna for you. In fact, if you like cheese, a lot of my videos are for you because I am a cheese freak. So I use lots of cheese on everything. Alright, so there's that. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle the top of it with a little bit of oregano. Not a whole lot, just a little bit across the top. And, you know, you can use basil if you want to, or you can use both. Okay, now I need to show you how to cover this thing. Stand by. A wooden shish kebab skewer. skewer, whatever. And however tall your pan is, bring that up about that far, about an inch above the top of your pan, and then just break it off. This is the same concept as when you order a pizza and it has a little thing in the middle that looks like a table. It's so the cover of the pizza box doesn't get on the cheese, and when you open the pizza box, you know, all the cheese comes off. So what we do here, take that and just stick it straight down in the middle, right through everything. Alright? Now, take a small piece of aluminum foil and ball it up loosely. You don't want it real tight, just a loose ball. And stick that ball right on top of that skewer, okay? Just like that. Now, we're going to cover this in foil, and that is going to keep that foil. See, if you didn't have that, then that would just poke straight through the foil. So you kind of put this on there as sort of a little curve so that the foil, you know, does this instead of flat over the cheese or breaking through the stick. So I am hoping I have enough foil here. I don't know if I do or not. So when you want this tight, this needs to be tightly foiled. So there's that. Okay, that's gonna do. If I had more foil, I would, I guess I can just lay that like that and hope it doesn't fall off. I should have had bigger foil and used one big piece to go all the way around it, but I didn't, so had to use what I had. So, all right, so that's assembled and covered. And you want to preheat your oven. Oops. 375. I'm setting mine to 380 because my oven runs about oh, bless me. Runs about 5 degrees cool. So I'm setting mine to 380. Let that preheat, and then we're going to put that in the oven for 1 hour. Stand by. Alright, the oven's preheated, and I put my oven rack down because you definitely want to make sure you have enough room for this thing. So we're going to put that in there for 1 hour, and then we're going to check it in 1 hour and see where it is, and it may need to go for longer, but we'll find out. Stand by. See you in 1 hour. Alright, this lasagna has been in the oven for 1 hour on 380, and we're gonna pull this thing out and take a look at it and see what it looks like. You'll be very, very careful doing this because this is hot. Alright, I just kind of use this and poke around, and the pasta is not quite done, and it's still kind of soupy, so I'm going to leave it uncovered. I'm going to keep my oven on 380, and I'm going to put this thing back in the oven for about I think I'm going to put it in there for 15 minutes and then come back and look at it again. I'm leaving it uncovered so that some of that moisture can come out of it, and so the top of it can start to brown up a little bit, and the pasta can get a little bit more cooked. All right, so we're going to check back on this thing in 15 minutes. Stand by. All right, it's been in for an hour covered and 15 minutes uncovered. And this is what it looks like after that, which is looking really good. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it in there. Turn the oven off. And I'm going to turn the broiler on low. And I'm going to broil it on low to brown the top. And then we'll pull it out and see what it looks like after that. And that's only going to take just literally like a minute or two. Whenever you're broiling something, keep a close eye on it. Stand by. Alright, this is it after it was under a low broiler for about 2 minutes. And keep in mind, during those 2 minutes, I kept the oven door open and watched it. Because if you, when you're broiling, you have to watch it like a hawk. Or it can go from nothing to completely burned in a nanosecond. So be very, very careful when you're using your broiler. So now that this thing is done, now it needs to sit. I'm going to let this thing sit for about 45 minutes before I try to cut into it. That way it can thicken up. And because when it's so scalding hot, it's still very, very soupy. So it needs to sit for a good 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. And it will still be plenty hot to eat. And so there you go. Chicken, spinach, alfredo, lasagna. Enjoy. Thanks for watching.